Welcome to Classics Confidential. This week we've come to the British Museum to talk to Vanessa Baldwin, who is the assistant curator of the forthcoming exhibition here on life and death in Pompeii and Herculaneum.
And Herculaneum.
Yeah. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Oh, you're welcome.
I mean, the exhibition opens at the beginning of April, right?
End of March.
End of March, beginning of April.
Yeah.
And there's already been a whole lot of sort of excitement in the press and articles about it. I mean, can you give us a bit of insight into the preparations? How long has it taken to organise and set up?
Yeah. So the lead curator of the exhibition pitched the idea in 2008, and since then it was kind of a project in progress from then on. When I joined the project in January of 2012, that's when it really kicked off and it became a full-time project that everybody was aware about and that lots of people from all over the museum have been working on since. So
do you know, between sort of the very early planning stages in 2008 and when you joined in 2012, what was, because the curator's Paul Roberts, isn't it? And do you know, was he already identifying objects for inclusion?
Yes. Yeah, straight away from the beginning, Paul had a very clear idea about what he wanted where he wanted the exhibition to go, and he had an object list at the start.
Right.
And broadly, the object list has stayed the same, but subsequently, since that time, there've been quite a lot of trips out to Naples. Paul has scoured the reserves of Naples Museum and Pompeii and Herculaneum for treasures that have never been exhibited before, and also some very familiar ones that people will recognise.
Yes, because I read in some of the press reports that there were going to be things there that had never been seen outside Italy, for instance. So you probably can't give too much away at this stage, but I mean, are there things that visitors to the British Museum are going to be particularly surprised by, do you think?
I think the biggest thing that people will be surprised by, not just because it's here but because they're so incredible in themselves, is the wooden furniture from Herculaneum, which is an incredible loan, incredible that they've lent it to us. And I think that's the bit that I think I'm most excited for people to see.
Yes.
Because it's so amazing.
Yes.
It looks so familiar. It looks like something you could buy out of IKEA today.
Because there's a baby's crib, isn't there?
There is, a baby's cradle that still rocks. And there's a garden bench and a stool and a linen chest. Just very familiar household furniture items that people will have in their own homes.
Yes. Yes. That sounds amazing. So were there, I mean, that sort of raises the question of conservation and the difficulties that in transporting these objects. I mean, not just the wooden ones, but it's something that I think that people who don't work in museums are often fascinated by, is how these things get from place to place. I mean, how physically did these things get over from Naples?
Well, they're very carefully packed with a lot of padding and in very secure crates. And then our objects are being driven over from Naples. Well, from the whole Bay of Naples, really. They have to be picked up from all their different places, the reserves that they're in, and from Naples Museum itself. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
It must be quite nerve-wracking as well, isn't it?
It is a bit nerve-wracking to imagine them all sort of coming here and making their travel when some of them haven't been away before, so...
Yeah. But it sounds like it's been a really positive experience working with the Italian museums.
It's been fantastic. They've been so welcoming. I've had, because since I've joined the project, I've been on 3 photography trips out to Naples Museum, Pompeii and Herculaneum, because one of the things we've been doing is building a huge database of images of all the objects that are coming over that we can then give back to our Italian lenders. And that's been such fun for me, really getting to be in the museum, in their reserves, working with the Italians and in Pompeii and Herculaneum. That sort of behind the scenes feel to it. It's been great.
So the photos that you were taking on those trips, are some of them going to end up in the exhibition or in the catalogue?
Yeah, they'll all be in the catalogue. We've got a main catalogue and also a gift book that is basically just pictures because we took so many beautiful shots. And I think, yeah, we are using some of them in the exhibition as well.
And so apart from, going on these, you're so lucky going on these trips and taking photographs. But apart from that, what is your work? You're the assistant curator. What's your job involved over this last year? A year and a bit, isn't it, since you've been on the project?
Yeah. So, as the sort of curatorial hub of the exhibition, Paul and I have worked with everybody across the museum. So we've liaised with the conservationists at the British Museum, because we also have our own pieces that are going into the exhibition as well.
Right.
About 10% of the objects in the exhibition are British Museum objects. And also then with marketing, with the press office, with the exhibitions team, we have our own project manager. Right. We also have an interpretation officer who we've worked through all the text for the exhibition with, and then the editor of the book, and all of that. So it's a lot to juggle at the same time. One of my main roles has been looking after the object database, because we've got over 300 objects coming from Naples, and we have to know everything about them.
Right.
And yeah, one of the other jobs on the photography trips was getting dimensions to make sure that we've got the right case sizes. And
yes, because you're going to start your installation next week. Is that right?
Yeah.
So at the moment, what is it? Just a series of sort of empty but demarcated spaces? Or?
Yeah, we went in this morning and it was so exciting to see it, because before now we've only seen it in plan, and to go into the space, it's all painted, it looks beautiful, and all the cases are in place, and they've got their plastic covering on that's starting to be peeled off. So next week we will install British Museum objects.
That's so exciting! And then after that, the ones from Italy, which are presumably they haven't arrived yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay. So right, so then it's going to be a very busy few weeks.
Yeah, I think the next month is going to be full-on installation time.
And I read something on the internet yesterday about a sort of quite an innovative plan for making a film out of the exhibition and projecting it in cinemas across the country.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, hopefully there will be a live cinema broadcast from within the exhibition that will be shown in cinemas. So a very exciting plan. Lots of different people who want to be involved.
I was trying to think about what that might involve, if it was sort of a real-time visitors trip around the museum.
So I think that
the exhibition.
Yeah, the camera will be the visitor, and we'll go into the spaces, and there will be people talking through the space with you. People you may recognise.
I have an inkling of who that might be.
And they will talk about some of the objects that are there. And so it should be very exciting, really informative, and I think just a different way of getting people in museums, especially people who can't get to the museum, who may be able to get to the local cinema.
Yeah, absolutely, it makes everything much more accessible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So another sort of area that's been picked up on by the press is the fact that you're going to be including some of the sort of the plaster cast of the bodies and the people who perished in the eruptions. And so I just wanted to ask you if that had presented any particular sort of challenges, because obviously it's quite, there's been lots of debates about the ethics of displaying human remains, and is that something that you've had to think about quite carefully?
Yes, it is. It's obviously a very sensitive issue, and it's one that we put a lot of thought into, and we always wanted from the beginning to provide the people whose stuff really we have in the exhibition, the people who you see in the cast, all the things that we are displaying were owned by people like them, and in effect it's like you're going through their house and looking at their things, and so we wanted to treat them with respect. And they will actually be at the end of the exhibition. The main crux of the exhibition is their lives and the life of the home and the ordinary people who lived in the home. The death of the cities is in its correct place at the end, and that's where we'll explore what happened in AD 79.
Okay. That sounds incredibly exciting, and I feel very lucky to have come and had this sort of, sneak preview really while everything's still going on and being set up. So thank you very much for talking to us, and best of luck for the setup and for the opening, and
Thank
really
you.
looking forward to seeing it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.